I'm Sabrina Gonzalez Pasterski, and this is my new Harley 883 Low, which I am going to accessorize. The first thing I'm going to do is replace the seat, and that's just a simple one screw process to remove it. Next we have to install the Fender seat nut kit, which is similar to this one here. So the first thing is you want to remove this with your fingertip. Then you slide the metal thing up from underneath and put the plastic clip on. Slide plastic clip on. Be using this black coated steel leaders to remove the reflectors, which will be covered by the sissy bar, so it's easier to do this before you put the seat on. And these are only 99 cents. Okay, so I connected the steel leader to a tool that I use to safety wire my propeller, and we're going to use this to remove the reflectors. Just slide it on and pull back. And there you have it. It's off. And now the other side. Cosmic Cleaner KC20, and we're going to use this to clean off all the residue from the reflectors. Ta-da! And the other side. So the next thing we're going to do is put on the sissy bar side rail. The front one has a nut like this, so you have to use a 1/2 inch wrench to hold it while you loosen it. The rear one has a nut plate like this, so you don't need a wrench, since it'll just fall off when it's ready. The next step is to loosen the nut holding on the turn signal. Now, what's difficult about this is that there's a little ridge in there, slightly like this one, and in order to access the nut, you have to go horizontally instead of vertically. And in order to protect the chain guard, I put a hat on it. And so now, turn it up, and you have to flip it over before you can go any further. Now we are ready to put the sissy bar side rail on. And what you want to do is grab this metal part here inside the chrome, pull it out a little bit to the side, and as you slide this in, you want to stay towards the chrome side and not the paint so that you don't turn it, and it should just slide on over the wire, like that. The motorcycle came with these brush finish bolts, but I'm going to put the chrome finish bolts that came with the side rail. So you just have to remember to take the washer off the original bolts and then slide it on. Now that the sissy bar side rails are mounted, the original reflector no longer fits, so we have to use a replacement reflector. If we try to mount the replacement reflector where the initial reflector was, it no longer fits because of the curvature. So, some people try mounting it like this. However, the turn signal blocks it. So if we mount it vertically, it's also more visible and matches with the front fork reflector. Before we mount it, however, we want to make sure that we clean it off with some mineral spirits so that we get rid of any fingerprints left there. The sissy bar pad mounts easily with just 3 screws on the back. Now, in order to cover the center screw, I chose this wing shape pattern. But before we mount this, we again have to clean this with mineral spirits. What I decided to do is set it at a slight angle so that it matches more with the fork reflector. And so I just put a piece of tape on the side, and then you set it here, cock it back at a slight angle until it hits the tape, and then press it on. I have the reflectors mounted and the sissy bar and luggage rack set on, and now I just have these hex bolts in temporarily for now, and I'm going to use a 7/16 inch wrench and a hex wrench to tighten down the nylon nuts, which are very similar to the ones they use in airplanes. The luggage rack and sissy bar are now mounted, and I set the 883 original seat back on temporarily for now to show how there's really no room to put registration papers. I decided to go with the 1200 2-up rather than the 883 2-up so that I'll be able to mount this for the registration right here, since there will be a gap because of the smaller gas tank size of the 883, similar to the Nightster. I punched 2 holes in the registration holder, first with a smaller screwdriver and then with a larger one. And although now you can't use the bill portion of the holder, you can still use the 6 slots for registration papers and other documents. And in order to mount this, I'm going to use some safety wire and attach it like so to the bike. This is similar to how you use safety wire parts in an airplane, like the propeller. It might not look like it on the video, but I used a pair of pliers to tuck the safety wire underneath the plastic, so now it fits in like that. Now there's just one last screw to mount the seat. And voila! Now that we have 2-up seating, we have to add passenger pegs before we can ride the bike. And the first step is to remove these 2 plastic inserts so that we can set these pegs on. Although the left side is fine, in order to do the right bottom portion, you need to use a rounded hex wrench to get around the muffler. And once you get it snug, you can still use the short end to tighten it down fully. The next thing that we're going to be doing is mounting the engine guard. I'm going to use a sweater to protect the fender. And where we're going to mount this engine guard, there are 2 bolts like this, which you can use a torque wrench for. And they're right now they're holding on the horn. I didn't change out the shocks. You can't put 2 200+ pound people on an 883 without changing out the shocks. However, you can keep the factory shocks if you only plan on putting 2 100+ pound people on the bike.